Welcome, Governor. Let me say just a few words about you. We already know a lot about you. I'm just going to say a few things and talk about a little bit of history here. We're honored to have the governor speak to us today. She is the 54th governor of the state of Alabama. She grew up in that great big city called Camden down in, not too far down the road, by an hour and a half, I guess. She went on to college at Auburn University, became a high school teacher for a while, but that didn't work out, so she moved on over to the clerk of the Alabama House of Representatives, and she was the assistant director of the Alabama Development Office. She also has been our state treasurer and our lieutenant governor, and now she is the first Republican woman in the state of history to be elected governor of the state of Alabama. One of the most important things that she's ever done as governor has occurred within the last year, and that's that fight against COVID. The pandemic hit the state of Alabama hard, but it put a great burden on our governor to take care of her people. And she's done that with great strength, leadership, and grace. She has made her decisions based on the science and also great common sense. And she is here with us today, and please join us in welcoming her to the program today.
Well, good morning, y'all. Jerry, thank you so much for that very kind introduction, and thank you for your leadership of the Alabama Retired State Employees Association. Over the course of the last 13 months, Jerry, you have done a terrific job in safeguarding the interest of your members as the state has faced some truly challenging circumstances. The ARCA is fortunate to have Jerry as your leader, and I certainly appreciate what you do for retired state and local employees. And thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to be with you today. I'm glad to join you, and I know you're going to have a good program. Throughout your careers, the work that each of you have done as a state employee or local employee have greatly benefited our state and had a significant impact. And I'm proud to see that so many of you have remained active in ARSEA. Y'all, there's no doubt that 2020 was a difficult year. And I'm sure that each of you have suffered some difficulty during this time, or you know someone who has maybe even had COVID. But you still felt the effects of these challenging times at one point or another. And we're all grateful to be here today. Whether you've lost a loved one to this terrible virus, or maybe you've had friends or family who've been afflicted, we've all faced unfortunate hardships that has caused change in our lives this year. And as your governor, it's been my honor to serve each of you throughout these unquestionable difficult times. The resolve of our people has never been stronger. And that's what has given me a great source of inspiration to lead our state, and I've had to make some of the most difficult decisions in my life. Fortunately, the distribution of the vaccine growing in strength every day, and our outlook on the future is much brighter than it was just 1 year ago. As recently as January, Alabama's monthly vaccine allowance was extremely low. And so that simply meant there just simply wasn't enough to go around. This unfortunate reality meant that we had to begin our rollout by vaccinating our state's most at-risk population, which was our seniors, hospital workers, and first responders. Initially, this was a slow process that required a bit of trial and error. But now, we're making great progress in effectively getting this vaccine out to the folks who are willing to have it. Slowly, with everyone's help and guidance, we've been able to ramp up our efforts and expand eligibility these past few months. In the past few weeks, I've visited some of the drive-through vaccine sites that are being operated by our National Guard. I visited my hometown of Camden in Wilcox County recently, and hopefully soon I plan to visit another site in East Alabama. And y'all, it's just refreshing to see that so many people, especially in rural Alabama, want to get vaccinated to protect themselves and their family and friends. These sites are being operated all over Alabama's Black Belt, and I sure appreciate the Alabama National Guard's willingness and their great teamwork to get this to the rural part of our state. Because of these efforts and their partnership with providers all across our state, over 2 million individuals have now had at least one shot of the vaccine. And folks, that's pretty remarkable when you think that there are around 5 million people in our state, and this means that some 40% of the eligible people in our state have been vaccinated in the 4 months that we've had the vaccine available. I also announced on April the 2nd that anyone 16 years of age is now eligible for the vaccine. So as it stands now, just about anyone who wants to be vaccinated can be. And these efforts and the great reduction in daily cases we've been having are what told me it was time to do away with the mask mandate, and that was lifted last week. As vaccination appointments continue to come up, I ask that you certainly take advantage of those and encourage your family and friends to get vaccinated. Now let me shift gears a little bit and talk about what's going on, what we've accomplished during this legislative session. When the legislature convened in February, they came prepared to work together and ensure that Alabama had laws it needed in place to help us recover from this pandemic. This included passing legislation that protected small businesses, renewing vital economic tax incentives that create thousands of jobs each year, and making sure the economic relief payments that Alabamians receive would not be taxed. The men and women of our legislature acted expeditiously, and on each of these items I was able to sign these bills the very first week they were in session. So I'm grateful to the legislative leadership, our partners in the private sector, and your organization for supporting these bills and working to ensure that we pass them as fast as we did. In the coming weeks, my office will continue to monitor closely legislation relating to state budgets and the criminal justice system. The spirit of cooperation that we have seen here in Alabama is a far cry from what we see at the national level in Congress, and I'm incredibly optimistic that we can accomplish much more before we adjourn next month. I believe May 17th is our last day. So folks, I ask you to continue to partner with us as we move our state forward. We still have many challenges to tackle, but I'm convinced there are brighter days ahead. Thank you all for having me here today, and may God continue to bless each of you and the great state of Alabama.